In this video, we are going to start looking at the second season of women's college basketball. Of course, we'll touch on the Hannah Hidalgo, Azzi Fudd beef, and then we're going to take a look at two Big Ten games coming up, which should help inform, is Maryland elite and how good is USC? Did they just shoot the ball well versus UConn? Are they really this good? But as always, before we start, if you enjoyed the content, then please consider subscribing to the channel and giving the video a like. All right, let's get into this. All right, like I said, the second season of the college women's basketball season is starting, basically conference play, and this is what makes college basketball so good. And the WNBA and NBA can do all they want about tweaking their schedules or having in-season tournaments, but they will never figure it out the way college does. I would love women's professional basketball to work sort of like the English club scene, where if you did well in the NCAA tournament, then you go to the next step and play, what would you call it, Premier Women's Basketball League, which would be like the top 16 teams who would be affiliated with universities and existing fan bases. I know it would never happen, but it is a dream. And I think it would be really good for women's basketball, but I don't think it will happen. So let's get on with this. The second season is obviously conference play, and then the third season is the NCAA tournament. And right now, there's a little bit of a lull, obviously, with the Christmas break and before conference play starts, hence why the Hannah Hidalgo thing blew up. So she got a little bit lippy in a question-answer thing on her Instagram, it looks like. And when asked about Azzi Fudd, she does not think about Azzi Fudd at all. The reason that this was shocking is we're so used to the corporate and, quarterback speech where the answer should have been, oh, Azzi Fudd was a great player. It's a shame she couldn't play. Hopefully the next time we meet up, we'll be able to match up and it'll be a fantastic matchup. That's what you expect to get. Quite frankly, that's what you'd get from Paige Bueckers. Like her answer sometimes to press conferences, like it's like out of the NFL QB book, give the press nothing, support your teammates, and that's all she does. With Hidalgo, do I care? No, I think it's great, actually, as it gives me content to talk about. Now, do I think she's put herself out there to be mocked and ridiculed if things go wrong? Yes, I do, as people will come after her. That's the one thing I don't like. If it goes bad in the tournament and Notre Dame gets knocked out in the Sweet 16 like they did last year, now, I was on Hidalgo's side with this. How she had to spend 5 minutes on the bench taking out a nose ring was ridiculous. I'm glad she's removed the nose ring this year. But if they go out early, then don't come up to the press and cry about how people have been so mean to you on social media, because you have decided to play in that pool, and if you're going to play in it, then people are going to be mean. It's just as simple as that. Much like me with this channel, I put out content, people call me an idiot or say my voice sucks, fine. If you put something out there in the public domain, then the internet's a mean place, YouTube's a mean place, you just have to deal with it. Now with Hidalgo, she obviously has a chip on her shoulder, and I understand that. I can only imagine how many people have told her, hey, you're not going to be able to be as good in college as you were in high school, and now she'll be told how she won't be able to play in the WNBA. And you look at how everybody salivates over Azzi Fudd, and effectively she hasn't done much in her college career due to injury, and you're Hannah Hidalgo, and you're like, really, I am the real deal, and the only reason I don't get the accolades or people saying how good I'm going to be in the WNBA is because you look at potential, and that potential is somebody as small as Hannah Hidalgo, 5'5", isn't going to make it to the next level in the WNBA versus an Azzi Fudd who has a good shot, much like Hidalgo, but she is 5'10", so she's a more ideal prospect, if you like. And people look at potential versus results, and I am the results. In my mind, that's one of the reasons she wouldn't have minded having a little dig at Azzi Fudd. Now, from the Azzi Fudd side of the camp, not that Azzi Fudd's going to respond to this or anything like that. Azzi Fudd would say, I've already gone to a Final Four in my freshman year. So come back and talk to me once you get past the Sweet 16. And by the way, don't wear a nose ring this year. You want to be able to play the full game. Now I will leave it over to you guys to argue out in the comments section. Azzi Fudd versus Hannah Hidalgo. The other big story in UConn Nation is the weakness of the Big East, and how will that hurt UConn in the final seeding? This is overblown, and hell, I might have overblown it myself in one of my videos. But essentially, UConn, the goal for them over the next month and a half is to sort out their rotation, get Azzi Fudd into the starting lineup, Aubrey Griffin back in the mix, and see if you can play Shanna El Alfie or Ice Brady, but you know you can go small. As well, remember that UConn has made 14 out of the last 15 Final Fours. So if you're a UConn fan, say, hey, the only year we missed it was when Paige Beckers was out with an injury. I feel pretty good about my coach and UConn being ready for the third season. Now, the reason I think that the number one seed or getting a number one seed is a bit overblown, I think it's all about getting in the top 16, really, as I think there are really 8 teams that have the ability to win the championship. I'm not saying they're favored or anything, but I think there are 8 teams that conceivably could win the chip, that being UCLA is currently 1, South Carolina 2, Notre Dame 3, USC 4, Texas 5, LSU 6, UConn 7, Maryland 8, and OU 9. So whatever bracket you're in, you're going to have to go through somebody that's good, basically. Now, with Maryland, I've been tough on Maryland, but we're about to see how good they are as they are going to line up against number 19, Michigan State. I think this should be a really good matchup as well. I took a look at Maryland again against Duke, and they are well set. I like the way they look as they have a rotation already set up of 8 players, which they have Sellers at guard, who's 6'2", long and athletic. And Brenda Fries just did a good job of going to the portal and putting the right talent around her. So point guard, Tibiasu, she's 5'5", she's perfect. Smickle, the guard, takes pressure off of Sellers because she can shoot, and she's averaging 17 points. Then they have Dulcie playing forward as well. She's 6'2" and gives them athleticism on the inside. And then coming off the bench, they have Sailor Poffenbarger, who is 6'2". She can shoot as well. She's a three-point threat. And then Bree McDaniel, the 5'11" guard, and Mir McLean. Mir McLean averages 5 points, but she just gives them more athleticism so that she can run a deep rotation and put pressure on teams. So they obviously have talent. The only reason I've questioned them is their schedule. The toughest game to date was Duke, and they looked impressive. They played Syracuse and Purdue. Now, I think Michigan State's going to be a good test, as Michigan State has played a few teams and done well. They've played Vanderbilt, Cal, Iowa, but had the loss to Alabama, hence why they've dropped 4 spots and are at number 19. In the game to Alabama, they turned over the ball 25 times versus Alabama turned it over 29 times, but Michigan State could not hit a lot of their shots, and some of that is that due to Alabama being athletic and they struggle with athletic teams? That'll be the question, essentially, as in a lot of ways, Michigan State is very similar to Maryland, but Maryland jumps off the page as being more athletic. But Michigan State got a key transfer in Grace Van Sluten, and basically she's the big forward that scores 14 points for them. She came from Oregon, and she goes for a high percentage of 51% from the floor. But the other one is Julia Ayrault, who is a guard at 6'2", and she goes for 16 points. And the offense sort of runs through those two. And then they have a whole bunch of little guards that cause trouble. Simmons, Hampton, Tate, who press teams and cause turnovers. That's what they do, and they play good, tough defense. And then they bring in off the bench Theron Halleck, who averages 11 points. They tried her as a starter, but found that she has more impact off the bench. So that is what their coach, Robin Freilich, has done. She's in her second season. Her first season, she got them to the NCAA tournament, and it looks like this is a program that is building quite nicely. Now, the ESPN predictor gives Maryland a 55% chance of winning versus Michigan State, a 44% chance. If I was setting the line, I'd probably make it about 5 points. Michigan State +5, as Michigan State's on the road, but I would be nervous about this game, as I wonder if Michigan State will just be a tougher, more ready team just due to the schedule that they played with Vanderbilt, Cal, and Iowa and Alabama versus Maryland, where their only true test so far has been Duke. Now, the other team I want to find out how good are they, and I think they will have a good test as well, is USC. Now, they are being celebrated for their victory over UConn at UConn, which is justified, but at the same time, you've got to say, man, you shot 49% from the floor and 56% from 3, and you still just barely hold on for the victory. Now, they play Michigan at home on Sunday as well, and that is a classic trap game. And I just want to watch, even if USC is able to deliver, like in theory, USC will pound Michigan up front with Kiki Arieffin and with Rhea Marshall, but this could turn into a game if USC doesn't shoot very well. And I really want to see Michigan's young gun guards, that being Olivia Olsen, who's the number 20 recruit and is 6'1", as well as Syla Swords, who's the number 4 recruit, and she had a good game, good opening game versus South Carolina, and she is 6 foot. I want to see them square off against USC's big guards, that being Smith and JuJu Watkins. Not only that, but Michigan also has another big guard in Jordan Hobbs, and she is 6'3", and she might be able to give JuJu some trouble as well. And USC goes how JuJu goes in my mind. I want to see if JuJu struggles with one-on-one defense, how USC is able to counteract that, and if they're still able to get a good, strong victory going through their front players. The other fun thing with this game is that both teams like to run. Like USC gets 20.8% of their points in transition versus Michigan that gets 19.8% of their points in transition. So it'll be a run and gun game, and yeah, I'm really looking forward. I'm hoping it delivers. It might turn into a blowout, but I'm looking. I think ESPN has this one at 84% chance for USC versus 15 for Michigan, but at the same time, Michigan wasn't given much of a chance versus South Carolina, and that turned into a really good game, so hoping this one will too. All right, now over to you, your thoughts and comments. All your poison and comments are welcome. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a great day.